time. All right, we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, if anybody would like to participate. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We do not have all our members here, so David will be voting on all matters today. We have minutes from April 24th, which we carried over, or were those ones we carried over?
Yes,
Okay.
they were passed
They
out
are.
last meeting.
Right.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved, yeah. Second.
Okay, all those in favor of approving the minutes from April 24th?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstention? Motion passes. There's a request from the Select Board to appoint Jacob LaFontaine to Southern New Hampshire Planning Commission for another 3-year term. I don't know the man, Joanne, or Patty, do you have anything to add about this, or we?
It's a reappointment, he's been serving on it, and Joanne did contact me, wishes to remain as the representative.
You did send a letter.
Yeah, there's an email attached that she asked me.
I'll make a motion to recommend it.
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion passes. The third item is a request to allow seasonal outdoor seating on site for takeout. We don't, is this the Shaking Crab Patty that we
Yeah.
talked about last week?
Yes, it's
Can
gonna
you
be.
offer up any information?
So, she submitted a little more information. It's called Caroline's Fine Food. She submitted a showing, she gave us pictures showing where she's proposing the tables. In the picture she shows 3, but in her email she's saying 4. They will not be within the town sidewalk, they will be out of the town right away. They're just seasonal, she's not gonna have service, they don't serve alcohol. It's just a place for when people pick up the food, they can sit outside if they want and eat their food. She is showing planters too that she wanted to put in between them to beautify the site a little bit and give a little privacy to the tables
Once again, only on private land.
on private land.
Anybody have any comments on this request?
Staff doesn't see it as staff sees it as a non-material change that would involve site plan review.
So somebody want to make discussion? Or do you-
I'll just say I agree with that it's not material change. I would just ask staff to make sure you work with her on making sure that there's space for the planters and the table, and it looks like it could get a little bit tight depending on what she's adding there, so as long as staff just make sure it stays on the private property. And I presume that the fire department or nobody has concerns with tables being, I mean, we've got a vertical granite curb, so does there need to be any sort of, protection of those tables if people are sitting that close to the road? I don't think it's a concern, just as long as,
Well, they're going to be behind the sidewalk and feet
Right.
right away, so
Yeah.
obviously they'll be in the side yard, I'm guessing.
She's showing
No,
it kind of
in the front yard, in the front there, but it's
It's on paved area.
behind, there's the vertical granite curb along the road plus the back edge,
So
so I think it's
who made
fine.
the determination that the vertical granite curb is the town right-of-way limit? Bill?
I don't know if anybody can actually make that determination, but back then, when these were going in, when this was being converted, part of the site plan was what the planning board was requiring at the time, most of the businesses to have the granite there to separate it for the sidewalks on it, but where you say the actual right-of-way on it is a little difficult, because if you go a little bit further down towards Manchester, you'll find that some of the telephone poles are halfway, the curving goes up to the telephone pole, and part of the telephone pole is in the road.
Well, I'm not comfortable making a recommendation to allow someone to put tables on front of the building unless we know that it is not in the right-of-way. I don't know if anybody's made that determination.
So if staff reviews the former site plan and makes a determination, because there probably is a site plan on this, makes a
is.
determination that it's not within the right of way, are you okay with staff moving forward to allow them?
I was just gonna say the sign is already in the area where she wants to put the tables. Wouldn't that have to also
They
be out
can
of the right of way?
put, they can put signs in the right of way, they just need approval, so we don't know what they've done in the past. Like, I think didn't the car wash sign go in the right of way?
But
So
the-
they need select board approval to do that.
But the tables are not gonna be a permanent.
It's got to do with liability, and you being on the Board of Selectmen, you'd be responsible for an accident if a car jumped the curb and hit a pedestrian at a table, and a lawyer found out that the table was in the town right away, we would be at fault for allowing them to have tables in the right of way, and the town would be liable. So, as far as I'm concerned, David?
On a subsequent picture, you can see there's the next door, the abutting neighbor, their building is right at the rear curve of the sidewalk.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it would start to give you the impression that that's the boundary line.
You get other impressions, because I'm not gonna make this a long discussion, but I know of places in the village where the sidewalk is actually, there's a cellar under the sidewalk, and that cellar is in the town right of way. But that's not germane to this discussion. It happens, and I just wanna make sure that if we make a recommendation, that we know what we're talking about, and we don't make it without the proper information.
I just also want to note that on one of the photos, you can see the parking lot aligns to this area.
So did you make a motion to?
No, I was just making some comments, but I will make a motion to find that this is a non-material change with the staff review to confirm that everything is on the property owner's own private land and not within the right of way. And I would also just ask that we make sure that I don't know if it's the fire department or if it's, who would be, I'm just concerned, I wanna make sure from a safety perspective, somebody has taken a look and doesn't have a concern with the tables being there in the front of
That it doesn't cause an issue.
that it doesn't cause an issue. So that our public safety officials take a look and that they're okay with it.
With public
And-
safety.
And that planning staff or engineering confirm that it's on private land.
Okay.
With those conditions, I would find it's
So you're gonna make it an
non-material.
administrative decision based on the information that they get?
Yeah, I trust them, and if staff can't confirm that it's on private property, then come back to us.
I did find the D'Angelo site plan, but it looks like the front used to be a lot different. It does call out an iron pin, so we might be able to establish the right of way pretty easy.
So we have a motion and a second.
Also, if I could just make a
Did you
comment
second that,
on.
Joshua?
No, my front here.
Oh, I'm sorry, were you gonna make a comment?
No, I just
Who's
wanted to know.
asking who seconded?
I thought you seconded, sorry. Go ahead, Phil.
On one of the photos, there's a number on it, but I can't quite read what the number is, it might be 7. But it shows a sign on the left-hand side, but there was a prior planter up against the building with shrubs in it. They've removed that to add more space also.
Oh, that's what's different.
Oh, yeah, it's gone.
So does anybody have a second for this?
Phil
I did.
did second.
All right, motion to find a non-material change to the site plan, and after staff review to confirm the use is not in the right of way, it would be an administrative decision to allow it. Is that correct, Colin?
And confirm it's not an issue of public safety.
Yeah.
Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I'm opposed. Abstentions? Motion passes. The last item for correspondence to action items was added. Dave Neiman is here to speak to a conservation issue, open space issue that's going before the selectmen on 5/12. Is that what you put in your email?
I didn't print off the email. He's going to conservation next week. I'll tell you.
I thought it was going to the Board of Selectmen.
He is also, so he has to have a public hearing with Conservation Commission as well.
So we'll
And then-
recognize David to come up, please.
Thank you. David Neiman, Goffstown Conservation Commission. Yes, I've already appeared before the select board to ask
Okay.
that hearings be scheduled for the 4114A process. And this is the first step in that process, is that they then ask planning and conservation to make recommendations as per state law. And so that's what I'm here to talk to you about. So Sugarbush Farm is Show's property that's up on Patty Hill Road. It's where the orchard is. It was a pick your own orchard for a lot of years. It's a working farm, hay fields and the orchards. Preserving this is one of the goals. It embodies goals that are in the 2020 master plan, including preserving working farmland, supporting conservation, supporting the General John Stark Scenic Byway Corridor, keeping it open as a historic and cultural resource, and all the environmental issues. I won't get into listing them all. You know there are many. Looks like the John Stark Scenic Byway has been routed into the room here. Right behind Dave. So with this, we started this project over 2 years ago. It took quite a while because we went after a variety of sources of funding, and one of those sources was the USDA's Natural Resource Conservation Service funds. That takes a long time, and it got really slowed down in the past year or so. But they finally came through. They awarded both the contract and the grant. So altogether, for a project with a value of $823,570, we got $290,000 worth of landowner donation, $250,000 from the USDA, $150,000 from LCHIP, $30,000 from Moose Lake Grant, $6,585 from the Merrimack Valley Partners. Private fundraising brought in nearly $7,000, and that leaves $90,000, which we will supply from the Land Use Conservation Tax Conservation Fund. So that will not come out of the general revenue, will not add to anybody's property tax bills. It comes from that separate funding source. And I mean, I could go on to a lot of details, but I know you probably don't want me to do that, so I'll just leave it at that, and if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Questions from the board for David regarding this recommendation that he's asking from us? We're recommending this, you're asking us to recommend this to the Board of Selectmen? Is that who you're asking?
That's part of the 4114A process, yes. The Select Board asks for recommendations for any land acquisition, no matter what type of acquisition. In this case, the acquisition is, we're not acquiring the land, the town would be acquiring an executory interest, because this easement will be held by the Forest Society.
Forest Society.
Yeah, and all the grant applications were done through the Forest Society.
And they have their own stewards?
They will provide all the stewardship. This will not add any burden or any kind to the town, other than we get a report once a year to file from their inspection.
Just is the rookery already under conservation easement for the?
Yes, it's in that wetland, which this comes up right to the corner of that wetland, but we did a previous easement with the Shost family that protected that years ago.
Right.
In fact, at that time, the plan was to do all their property, but we split it into two projects because the different nature of the lots, this one being more agricultural oriented, we knew we'd be going for different funding sources. Just didn't realize at the time that it would be so long before we got around to part two.
Now, under this easement, do they still have the right to hay the land and do different things?
Everything they do now, yes.
They're just selling
They have the
development.
rights for forestry, they have the rights for the farming. There's a carve-out area, an exclusion area, so they have plenty of room if they need more agricultural buildings or anything like that.
Okay.
And, yeah, nothing really changes from their perspective, other than can't subdivide it, can't develop it. It stays protected as a working farm in perpetuity.
And what about stuff like current use taxes?
That doesn't change at all. Pretty much, it's, you know, if it's in current use now, it's in current use going forward.
They don't have to pay the current use fee to build it out of current use and go into conservation, right? There's nothing like that happening.
No, nothing like that at all. And even if something like that happened, it would probably, being with an easement on it, it would probably be taxed the same way. I mean, it would
That's
be
fine.
much,
I just didn't know what the story was.
yeah, no, that doesn't change.
And they're
at
not
all.
paying taxes on the land anymore either then?
Huh?
Are they still paying taxes on the
They're
land?
still paying taxes on the land. It's still privately owned by the family, so
Okay.
nothing changes at all in that regard either.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
Just procedurally, what motion are we looking for? Because we're not acquiring the easement.
No, I think it's a recommendation by this planning board that we recommend the transaction take place and.
The land
basically-
Right, to
acquisition.
go
Okay.
forward with it.
Well, it would be the acquisition of the executory interest in the
Okay.
easement. The
I'd like to
town,
make that motion.
the town isn't acquiring any land.
Okay. You're gonna recommend that we move forward on the project?
Yes.
We don't need the other words. And this is to the Board of Selectmen.
Yes.
Anybody want to second that?
I'll second it.
Any discussion on the motion?
Just that I plan to abstain since this is a recommendation to the select board.
All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? One abstention. Thank you, David, for coming in.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Okay, Patty, we only have new business tonight.
Yes.
First one is map 31, lot 7. Could you give us a rundown, please?
Sure, so the first one is, map 31, lot 7. It's located at 140 South Mass Street. It's owned by Dale Moano, and it's a proposed 2-lot subdivision that will be serviced by sewer and water. The existing lot will be approximately 1.79, or the existing lot is 1.79 acres. They're proposing, the new lot will be approximately 0.85 acres, and the remaining will remain with the lot 7. They both meet zoning requirements for, you need half an acre with sewer and water in the R1 district. The plan shows that there is a driveway on it that is like a round circular driveway. He is proposing to remove a portion of that driveway, but retain a shared access to the existing lot.
Before we go any further, Patty, is this application complete and ready to review?
We don't believe there's a regional impact, and it is complete and ready to be reviewed.
Okay, from Colleen, please.
Yep, I'll make a motion that we find the application complete with no regional impact.
Waivers, Patty?
He is requesting the waivers. So he's asking for a waiver of section 8 for driveway C7, the maximum width of the residential driveway at the town right-of-way shall not exceed 22 feet, including the flares of 5 feet and the flares of 10-foot radius may be construction. There's another waiver for the driveway, except for shared driveways, no driveways including any, I don't know which that is, 0 flares shall be within 10 feet of the side property line.
So,
The
Laura,
motion would be with the waivers for acceptance purposes
so
only.
there's 2 waivers or 3, Patty?
Two for the driveways.
Did he submit those waiver
He
applications?
did submit them.
Okay, because he sent me plans with the driveway altered to be in conformance now.
Now, it's been altered from the
Yeah, so
ones
the
that
plans
you,
that everybody has on the table tonight don't have those alterations.
they don't have it.
So, I guess when the applicant comes up, we'll let them clarify what's going on, what they're gonna go with.
Yes,
So it's either no waivers or 2 waivers?
so.
Yeah,
So Scott has seen revised plans addressing his comments. And so
Yeah.
if Scott is saying they have now addressed that those waivers are not
Yeah.
in
They're
there.
not requesting any waivers?
the plans that I received adjusted the driveway so it was no longer within 10 feet of the property line, and then they reduced the opening at the right-of-way to meet the regulations, so the two,
I know, understanding that, like, I think because the application is submitted to us,
Yeah.
it was requesting the
I'm-
waivers, let's
We're gonna leave
accept
the
it
waivers
with
in and
those,
we can remove them
But
after.
then,
Okay.
yeah, we can.
yeah.
figure
Anybody
it
want
out.
I'm just a
second
little
Colleen's
confused
motion?
why we went both ways, so.
Do I have a second for Colleen's motion?
Yes, Dave will second.
Thank you, Dave. All those in favor say aye. Aye, opposed, abstention, motion passes. Now Patty, procedurally, we can keep going again. We need to do that first because it's,
Okay,
so finish what you were telling us, I apologize for
so I
interrupting.
thought I kind of covered it.
Good, we're good to go then. Questions for staff from board members? Okay, seeing none, I'll ask the applicant to proceed up to the table and identify themselves for the record, please.
That's the emails. that
Right,
stuff is
today,
referring-
yeah,
Yeah,
today.
yeah.
Hello, hi, Dale Mono from 140 South Mass Street. I am here asking for, to be able to subdivide my lot, and,
Can we put plans on the board? just so-
What do you got, Scott, for the amended plan? You got it with you?
Yeah, so. Showing the narrow the entrance and then basically cut out a section of pavement and
Why?
then realign it because it's within 10 feet there.
But maintain maintain the dual driveway.
Yeah, so they're gonna, well, they're remove, which they didn't show on the previous plan, they're gonna remove this whole section of asphalt, so the loop's no longer there, but they have the entrance. Which that wasn't quite clear on the.
Let me ask, is anybody here as an abutter that would like to be able to see the plan? Okay, good, that's why it's turned towards you.
Can you see it?
Is that an updated one? 'Cause they just
That's
said
the
ones
same
that-
one that you received.
Okay.
It's the same one.
Okay,
So
fine.
that's the updated one?
Did
That's the
you-
question.
Dale, is that updated? Or
that's
is-
not the updated one.
Okay.
that's the
Well,
original.
we need an updated plan, Patty, we can't.
No, this is the plan that you guys have in front of you. The only
Yeah, we-
person that's reviewed the revised plan was
Yeah.
Scott,
And I-
reviewing that his
Th-
comments were
This could be my
addressed.
fault, because I told Deo that you guys don't usually like new plans
Correct.
sprung upon you that none
All right,
of.
well, so
Yeah,
we'll
so
let,
there's no, he has the same plan that you have, and Dale put up the same plan that you
we'll let him
have.
proceed. Please, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, so, in terms of the property itself, we're asking for a subdivision to be able to divide it into two different lots. The new lot will be I believe it's .83, and then the other lot will be .93. In terms of all the requirement, it meets all the requirements with the exception of the front driveway. That's where we were asking for the waiver regarding the 25 feet opening that it currently has. It was like that when we purchased the property. And then the other area is where we will be actually removing the pavement on the two sides in order to meet the requirement that's needed. We've provided a drainage plan and an erosion plan, everything that the town has required. And the property itself, where we're asking to divide into a new lot, we're recommending to put a single-family dwelling on it.
Scott, what about when you have a shared driveway that crosses another lot? Does an easement have to be established, Scott? Or how does that work?
Yes, I think Joanne
That's one of
provided
the
that
comments,
comment.
you would have to have a
Yeah.
shared driveway.
So they need a shared driveway agreement and I believe an easement for the parent parcel. I think that's the way they're numbering them anyway. Lot 7.
Okay, so that's,
7-1, so those would be two documents that would be required.
Okay. and what about the 24-foot wide? Is that being proposed to be shrunk or staying?
Well, that's
the
what the
width
waiver's for, so
All right.
Deo, did you want to move forward with the waivers and then you just wanted to show that you could fix it if they don't approve the
Yes.
waiver, or is that the thought behind it?
That was the thought behind it, the fact that it's 3 feet of different, and it's been there prior to us purchasing the place. If you guys deny the waiver, then we've worked on we've put together an alternative plan that shows that we can remove those 3 feet. Same thing with the other area that's being asked.
And there's actually a reduction in impervious, based off what they're showing, because there's the large parking area today, and then the section of pavement that's the loop. So, they provided basically a memo for the drainage that, since there's a reduction in impervious, there will technically be reduction in site runoff.
And are you proposing anything for the house regarding runoff, like drip drains or anything, or because of the reduction in the?
Because of the reduction, we don't typically require further stuff if the board wanted
I'm
to
just asking you,
recommend
because you're
that.
the one that makes the recommendation.
Yeah, with the reduction in impervious, it should function better than it does today.
Okay.
It's a nice grassy area that they plan to keep between them and the road.
Board members, questions for staff or the applicant?
Just more of a comment on the, and I know that you show on the site plan, the water and sewer connection. Should there be a note on the plan being recorded? Because for the lot area of half an acre is if the site is served by water and sewer. So I guess maybe just to make sure that everything's clean on that sheet being recorded, there be a note that that the site is to be served by municipal water and sewer. I know that the other sheets indicate the intention for the connection, but just so that way the recorded plan reflects that as well.
Yeah, and the zoning arts would require it because if he doesn't have it serviced, he'd have to have a full acre per each lot.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure we have that note on
Okay.
there, so that way we're not inadvertently creating a lot that doesn't meet zoning.
Okay.
I did go up in front of the sewer commission last week
Okay.
to present our proposal, and we were given a green light. And we'll do the same thing for water once it's approved to make sure that we'll be using town water and town sewer.
Well, all that becomes building department issues, not planning issues. Anybody got anything from the board?
I do want to note, like, she has a comment, I think it's this one.
Plan
This
comment or general comment?
A comment saying that, no comment from Conservation Commission.
Yeah, do you have a number on the page?
Yeah, on page 13.
Yep.
This has not gone to the commission. I'm gonna go over it with them at the meeting next week, but I don't foresee any environmental issues. But as a courtesy, I'm bringing this in to the commission as well. As part of technical review, we usually have them review the plans for something, for a 2-lot subdivision.
Colleen, on sheet C101,
Yep.
it does have note number 9, which says it's serviced by municipal sewer and municipal water, but that's not one of the recorded sheets, so is it, you
Yeah.
want that note on the recorded sheet?
I mean, I'd like that note on the recorded sheet. I don't think our
So,
regulations
a note on the
require it.
plan that it,
Yeah.
To be
a
serviced
note
by-
on, sheet 2, if that's what's being
Sheet
recorded.
2.
So that same note that's on C101,
have it noted on the
Yeah.
plan.
yeah.
Yeah, we can, and then to Colleen's point, it does justify the lot sizing, so we can definitely add that.
Thank
Would
you,
you
appreciate that.
identify yourself?
Yeah, Michael Malinowski with Allen and Major Associates, we're the surveyors and engineers for the project.
In the shared driveway, it's just an agreement, there's no conditional use permit or anything related to a shared driveway?
Correct, they're allowed
Fine.
per the regulations. I think the regulations just
But
require
they do
that.
need to do there should be a shared driveway agreement for maintenance and
Yeah,
as well as an easement.
I think that is in the regs. so.
Okay.
It is.
And then the shared driveway that passes across the proposed second lot, the applicant will have to bring us some kind of easement or something, Scott, what were you saying was required for that?
Yeah, they should have an easement along with the,
We
The-
probably have a template for it.
yeah, I believe we do. I don't know if we have one for the easement per se. I think we have templates for the shared driveway agreement. Or maybe it's the opposite. One of them we probably don't have a template for because they're.
We might have both.
Okay,
We can look at a previous one too.
yeah.
So I just added 28, easement required for the parent driveway to cross the proposed new lot. I put that down as 28 on the staff recommendations.
I think she's got that as 19,
She got it at 19?
yeah, the driveway easement.
Oh, thank you for telling me. She didn't see it.
It's for, if the property's ever just sold, it goes with the property and then it's allowed.
All right, so I'm not comfortable, well, I guess we have to talk about the waivers after we open the public hearing. Anybody else have anything else they'd like to add from the board? David?
Yes, I'd like a confirmation. It appears that the circular driveway is going to be discontinued as a circular driveway. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
That is actually shown on Scott's revised plan.
Yeah,
We
it's
don't
shown
have.
better on that, so.
He does have revised plans with him. We just tell him you don't allow revised plans submitted at the meeting.
Okay. Anybody else before I ask for the applicant to step down so the public hearing can begin? The gentleman that's sitting next to you, are you going to speak or are you just going to be quiet? Because I don't need your name if you're not going to talk.
It's Michael Malinowski with Allen and Major Associates.
Okay, this is just for the subdivision, correct? Like, of the lot, so, any idea where the house is gonna go?
Anywhere within the proposed buildable area.
That's right.
It's
We
shown-
don't-
It's shown on that site plan, C-101.
Yeah.
But it's
It
buildable.
should be.
What?
It's in the
third sheet.
buildable area.
Yes.
So if you go back to the third sheet, it's shown on that one.
C-101.
Here.
Yeah, so it's now just showing you just the lot. So this is like the new edge of the driveway, so they're no longer connected, and that's the home.
So it's like that.
We, just for your information, Josh, we don't generally, we can't dictate where the house goes. Oftentimes, they show us where it's gonna go, but we don't dictate where the location is.
I was just curious because it looks like there's water back behind the house.
He would have to deal with, we have a drainage report. Is the drainage report anything like that?
There's a wetland back there that's,
That's kind of what my
is
concern is.
delineated, but,
We're more than 100 feet away from that wetland
yeah,
line.
so the 100-foot setback's right there. The 100-foot setback is shown here, it's right here. So they're meeting that regulation, yeah.
Are any other structures coming down in the subdivision? Like I see a chicken coop and other
Yeah,
things.
the chicken coop is being removed from that.
Yeah, and that's noted there.
It's
too.
noted
That
on the
is
plan.
noted.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm good too.
Thank you. Anybody else? At this time, you guys stay seated for a moment. We're gonna open the public hearing. If someone wants to come up and speak, you guys will have to vacate the chairs. Public hearing's open. Anybody like to come up and speak? Okay, you're gonna have to move on out, folks.
Hello, my name is Dana Seelig, and we are the owners of 134 South Mass
Could you
Street,
please spell your last name, Dana?
S-E-L-I-G,
Thank you.
and we abut Dale, and we're to the right side. So they, just to, anyways, the long story short, there is wetlands back there. So my first question is the survey recent? Is this a new survey that's been done, or are you pulling this off of the?
We don't, you can
Oh,
make
sorry.
comments, it's not a question and answer
Okay,
session. at this
okay.
time.
So my concern is the survey. Is it a new survey, or is this based off of numbers from past? Because I was told you can't do that. You can't use the GPS or whatever that is, you have to have it surveyed. The second thing is, in the back, there is a flag on the post that says wetlands that somebody put there. And then, obviously, it looks like they marked the property. But what they did is they put it on an old rusty pin that's in the ground that has a little concrete on the top, and the state marker is laying in the water. So there's a trough in the back of my yard that water runs through from the mountain, okay, on 134, and then there are two state markers. Wayne, my neighbor, has one on his property, we have another one. And they used to stand, but then what happened is they came back and they cleaned the trench. Somehow those state markers ended up getting knocked over, and now they're sitting in a pile of water.
Is this, you're talking about the water that's behind the property?
I'm talking about the water that's behind my house and Dale's house. There's a water that runs every time it rains. It gets wet. Water runs through my yard. My yard was just filled up with water. Because what's happened is, my neighbor has pushed fill in the back. Deo started to push fill in the back, so now the water is coming into our yard.
I'm trying to find your name on the,
It's under Beard, where Jim
oh,
Beard,
okay,
that's.
the beard, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So you're having the water on your land?
Well, the water has always been there, but now what's happening is the water is starting to move on our land because my neighbor has filled in an area, Deo's filled in an area. We haven't even had the chance because I've been in Maine for the last year and a half, so I haven't had an opportunity to get busy at my house, but I will assure you that I will be. So that's the issue I have, and then the other question I have is the survey. Is this a brand-new survey that's been done? I saw somebody put a pin on the sidewalk with a marker. I have no idea what that was, but that was right in the front of my house. So I would just like to know that. I'm not against what he's doing per se. I mean, if he has the right, he has the right.
Okay. You have anything else, sir?
No, sir.
Thank you for coming up.
The school did a project a year or two ago to like clean that swale out between the school property and all of these
I remember
parcels.
that.
Yep.
So that might have been.
You can sit down, sir,
when
please.
the
Just give us one
markers-
second.
When the markers got moved, and if that is the case, the
Might
school
have been
should
the school
probably
that
have
did
them
it.
reset.
All right, your name for the record, sir?
Hi, I'm Sean Collins. I live at 148 South Mass Street, Goffstown, New Hampshire.
148 South Mass?
Yes, sir. We're next to the,
Okay.
I'm here more to learn than anything else, to be honest with you. If he's got it, he's got it. But I am a little surprised that the board would accept a subdivision application at 140 South Mass Street when I believe, or I've been told, that there's still litigation on that property about the ADU. And I do remember Tracy Malowski calling me when she found a buyer at 140 in October 2022. And she told me that she found a nice family, which I agree, with 3 kids to buy the property. And she stated that the owner would never subdivide it because she was going to grow his kids up there. Times have changed, I understand, he has the right. I have a question, and I know you just said that we can't ask questions, I'm like, the
Just
lot...
give us your question, maybe we'll dredge up the answer for you
I'd
in
appreciate
public
it,
session.
because like I said, I'm really trying to learn what's going on. The lot on the property card is 1.60. That's with the town. It's right here on there.
The acreage you're talking about?
Yeah, parcel total land area is 1.60.
1.60.
Correct. So leads up to my question. The lot on the plat plan shows 1.79. The deed states that it's tract 1 and tract 2. So my question is the property already subdivided with tract 1 and tract 2? Why does the deed say that?
That's an answer for an attorney.
Well, I can kind of explain it. A lot of the old deeds, that's how they were done, was there were tracts, even though they're one property. And regarding like the assessment card, that's not based off of a survey, as this is a survey plan, it's stamped by a licensed land surveyor. It's the old records, and we have to go by what the best we know from the old records. So we could be off on some of the acreage if we don't have a boundary survey or that information.
Didn't the town do that a few years ago?
They don't survey private properties.
The town does the GIS maps,
Okay.
but those have a margin of error.
Those are an
And those are for tax
approximation.
purposes.
Those are not boundary lines that a surveyor puts in.
Because if it does work that way, 1.60 and he's 1.79 now, does he get back taxed? I mean,
Oh,
that's not fair to him.
This is way beyond our scope of thought.
Okay, that's not fair to him. So I wanted that. The next thing is lot plans on page 3, 41 by 44, which is roughly about 1,900 square feet. Shows a 2-story building with a garage, but he's proposing one story.
We're back to the building department. We, at the planning board, we're being asked to subdivide the lot into 2 parcels. That's the extent of our authority. We do not make
Okay.
any decisions on houses, sizes,
So I keep that
locations,
question for the-
square footage, any of that.
And he also proposes that .96 acres on the current property, and then .85 acres on proposed subdivision. That's a total of 1.81 acres. Over the lot plans, it's .02 too much, and for the property card, if you go by the property card, it's .21 over.
This is the kind of thing that a surveyor gives us. These are town records. We don't have
Okay.
any.
And the proposed house will alter the character of the neighborhood, and it is not in the public best interest, this is me. The original house on 140 South Mass Street was built in 1890, making it 135 years old. Our house at 148 South Mass Street is 125 years old, built in 1900. 134 South Mass Street was built in 1920, making that property 105 years old. So allowing a new construction house on that property would seem out of place in our neighborhood, of course. If this subdivision were to be approved, then we must endure another year of construction at 140 South Mass Street. I don't see any real benefit to Goffstown by allowing this application to proceed, but I'd really request to postpone this, table this for 2 months, because I would like to survey that whole area, including my house, as well as what's around. I just want to know what's what. So those are some of the objections I have. Any questions for me? I'm good.
We just want to accept your comments for the record, sir.
Thank you. When they build the sewer side of it,
You do what?
when they do the sewer side of it, I'm hoping that they don't have to open up 114, don't they? Is it in-
Well, if that's what it looks like, the road, have to cut all the way across the road to get to the sewer main.
So 114 would have to be opened up?
According to the print that I have in my hands. Yep.
They couldn't tee up, just a question, they
No.
couldn't tee off of the other one?
It's not
Nope.
here. That's
It's
not-
independent law.
Okay, well, thank you for your time.
Okay? Okay. Anybody else want to speak on this application? Any other neighbors or butters that want to speak on this application? We'll close the public hearing. All right, applicant can come on back up to the table, please, and your engineer, please, if you want him. So, what do we need for the next, I'm thinking we have to continue this application because we have to have the revised plans to look at.
Yep.
If we deny the waivers.
So I guess should we talk about the waivers before
Yeah.
we decide if
Oh, yeah.
we're denying
Talk
them?
about the waivers.
And quickly,
That was their wording, not just repeating their
Yeah.
words.
and to address the public comment, it looks like you have a date here that it was based on a new survey that was done.
Yes, May, as early as May of this year.
Okay.
The wetlands were also delineated by Luke Hurley. Same year, I think he did his walkthrough in May, April. So the survey is current, as well as the wetland delineation, which we had picked up in the fields.
Does the current survey determine the acreage, the square footage of the lot as well? Are the numbers good that are shown on the print?
Yes. Yep.
So I guess if you could, because you do have in your notes the existing lot area 1.79, and when you add up the two of the two proposed areas, there is that like 2/100ths.
You get 1.81.
1.81.
I added them up.
So if you could just
Let
verify,
me
and
double
it's-
check
it's
on that because it
probably-
may be.
If it's a rounding error or
it-
something.
It may be just a rounding error
Yeah.
and most likely it's based on the square footage, which is what they start with, and
Yeah.
then they do the conversion to the acres.
It,
So.
it doesn't impact, I mean, it still is, it exceeds the minimum lot size for the
Yeah.
zoning, but I think if, that should be verified.
Chair.
Dave, please.
Jeff, just for the record, when you did the survey of the parent lot, you did research the abutters deeds at the same time?
Correct, and that's how.
I
the-
know it's a standard practice, but I
Yeah.
want that into the record.
Yes.
And were there any defects that you found that would be question the boundary lines that you show?
Based on what we've prepared for the survey, there was nothing that jumped out at us that would say that there was an error or defects or causes that would not cause it to close.
Thank you.
Did you or did the survey team notice any of the bounds on the back of the property that seemed they weren't in the correct place? Like they could have been damaged by the drainage project that came through a couple of years
So we actually noted and found the bounds at the back of the property.
ago?
So they were in place,
Okay,
so, at the time of our survey.
yeah. And they were in place where they should be?
Yeah.
Okay.
When you describe them as a stone bound, they're dimensional 6x6, they're granite bounds, is that what they are, or something like that?
Yeah, with a drill hole.
Okay. So there'll be, we found the two on the outside corners, okay?
Looks like the one in the
The
center.
proposed one to be put.
That one says it's found as well.
Yeah, there's one in the middle that was found.
The middle one is there?
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. Because it's a straight line, but I'll just accept that. All right,
Did it kind of follow the tract as referenced in the deed?
I can't comment to that. That was, our survey team had gone
Okay.
through that.
So the waivers, and Scott, I guess, the first one, the maximum width shall not exceed 22 feet. So this is an existing driveway,
Correct.
but what is the width there? Is that the,
I think it's a little over 24.
okay.
what's the DPW's recommendation for the driveway?
For
To
the
correct,
width.
to correct it, or give them a waiver? Or if you don't have
Since
one, you
it's
just say so.
existing and I don't see a huge deal keeping it the way it is.
How about the sideline encroachment?
I feel a little differently about that because that's, that kind of infringes on a neighbor, and then it's a setback to a neighbor, so. But at the same time, it is existing. There's been no history of it being an issue, but that one I could go either way with. But the width being the way it is, it meets the setback to the property line there. And I went back, you know, we have aerial records through Google Earth and another program, and it's been that width for a long time, and that layout for a long time, so.
Where's the so I guess I'm trying to get, where's the side property line?
So it's
Is
between
it-
Right along here.
map 31 lot 6.
And so is that not, I thought that a portion of that circular driveway was being removed, is that
Yeah,
not?
so here's
It's actually
the,
on the, it's on the opposite.
here's the
side.
updated one where you could see they kind of show where they were in the dark, in the bolder black, where they would move it to meet
Okay.
the regulation, and then that hatched area is where they're gonna remove the connection.
Okay,
It's a little section right here,
Yeah.
Colleen, on the mid lot,
okay.
where that driveway sort of swoops down.
Well, you know, if there's a new application for something to be done differently with the property, I feel it's within our allowance to have people correct prior mistakes. If it was just going to be, continue to be used as it was, we wouldn't force the issue. But since you're making an application to improve the lot next door and subdivide it, I think we are within our rights to ask that at least the sideline encroachment be corrected, whereas Public Works says there's no benefit to the driveway being reduced at the road line because it's an existing condition and it doesn't infringe on anybody's rights at that point.
That's my feeling.
So I'm thinking that we would discuss the sideline encroachment as one item, and I would say we deny that myself because it's repairable. But the entrance driveway, I'm not really in favor of them having to fix the entrance.
Scott, question. So
Please.
mainly the waivers are over here.
Yeah, so
So what about when the driveway comes in over here? Will they have similar issues?
so the new plan clarifies where they're cutting it back, and it'll be 10 feet.
So it would
so they
actually
will-
meet it?
So that one won't need any waiver or anything. And when you have a shared driveway, the regulations actually say it doesn't have to meet the 10-foot separation. And I think that's because you can't have it cross a property line and not have it be less
Right,
than,
of course,
you know.
okay.
So,
But they're correcting some of it anyways.
yeah, I think it's more on the approach. It's not extremely clear, so it's a way we interpret it, but,
Okay.
So let's talk about the driveway flare that shall not exceed 22 feet, is presently 24, Scott?
I believe that's
That's
what
fine.
it is.
So let's discuss that waiver first. Section 8.
Do we want to discuss it, or are you looking for a motion?
Let's deal with it.
So I'm okay with the flare because it's not impacting the neighbor. So I would be comfortable making a motion to approve the waiver requested from section 8, driveways C.7, to allow the driveway to exceed or to remain as is, the flare at the right of way.
I'll second.
Any discussion on the motion?
Just
Counselor?
confirming the flare is the entry from the road? Is
Yep.
that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And it was Phil that seconded?
Bill seconded it. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor of granting the waiver, section 8C7, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion passes. The other waiver is for the sideline, section 8C5.
So I agree with the discussion, and I think that if this can be corrected to reduce the impact to the neighbor, it should, so, do you want a motion to deny?
Yep.
Okay,
Would it be easier
Or
for us
will you
to
withdraw?
Can we withdraw the waiver for the sideline setback without prejudice?
No, you can do that, no problem at all.
Okay.
All right, so they're gonna, does that have to be done in writing, Patty, or at a later date, or is it just verbal?
It will be in the record for tonight,
Okay, so,
and just to follow up.
so as the records
Yep.
will show that the applicant has removed their waiver request and agrees to fix the sideline setback from.
So Tim, that means we need an updated plan?
Well, then we'll get that at the next meeting, along with the shared driveway agreement for the easement. The number 19 that Colleen pointed out that I missed.
Does that need to
That'll allow
be submitted, or
Concom
can that be a
to-
condition of approval?
I'll
The
let Patty
agreement.
answer that question.
We have had them as a condition of approval. I can send a template to them. I know we have them.
We can do it as a condition of approval, and administratively, the office will handle working with you.
Okay.
Till it's all submitted for whatever the approval is.
All right, that'll work.
It doesn't have to be for the next meeting, but if you have it, that'd be great. If you don't, you don't.
And this is going in front of the conservation?
Yes.
Do we have any concerns about making any conditional approvals without understanding if there's any impacts to wetlands or otherwise?
We're not making a conditional approval tonight. We're
Perfect.
continuing.
Awesome, that's what I just want to hear.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Dave?
Typically on subdivision plans, the new boundary line, during the subdivision, we typically see the plan saying bound to be set. There's 2 angle points on this new line.
On the lot that separates the two,
Yes, there's 2 angle points, and I would like to see bound to be set.
they need to be set at any angle.
Correct, and normally they would be set as a matter of course. Part of the requirement is for our surveyor to actually provide a signed certificate.
Yes.
That says that
You're
they've
honestly
been
not,
installed.
and you're not gonna set them until an approval is granted anyway.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
we'll do that administratively as well, David, all right?
Thank you.
I have one thing I took from the public comment about water moving, the neighbor, Dana Seelig said water moving towards his lot because the neighbors have been filling. I'd like the town engineer to go out there and look at that and see provide us with a report on whether people are filling in the wet area or not.
Okay.
I'd appreciate a report for the, do you need to get permission from this landowner to go on their land, or can you access it from?
The one that is the application lot, I believe, once they submit an application, it gives us the right to enter the property,
Yes.
correct? Okay.
Okay, so you don't
So-
need permission to walk on the land to
And
look at that?
the other thing, I mentioned it earlier, but we have aerial images that are taken at this point 3 times a year, so
If things
from
change?
2014 to now, I'd be able to see
Yep.
a change from there, but I will also put boots on the ground and see.
Well, if you can
see what-
identify through your aerial images, I'm
Yeah.
satisfied with that, but I just would like a report based on the comment
Yeah.
from the neighbor, Mr. Seeley.
Yeah.
Is it okay if I respond to that? Because I know sometimes when neighbors provide comments, you can respond to that. I just wanted to put that on the record. That is 100% incorrect. There hasn't been any field that's done.
All right, well, that's fine.
I just wanted to make sure that I said that on the record.
That's fine with us, perfect. Anybody else want anything done before, and then we need the new plans for the next meeting.
Which they'll have to revise anyways again because they're gonna keep the flare.
Keep
Yeah,
the
you're gonna
flare,
show,
So it's gonna be revised
eliminate
again.
the- So it is gonna.
you'll show the area, Scott has a copy of the plan, it's the new one. You're gonna show the areas where the pavement will be removed between the 2 lots.
Correct.
You're also gonna show where the correction for the sideline, just encroachment is, and you
Yeah.
don't have to do anything with the entrance because
Yeah, and we'll adjust
we're
the.
going to allow you to be there.
So our regulations allow iron pins on internal lot boundaries, but it's gotta be that granite.
Yeah,
bound
with
out
the mag,
right away.
yep. Yeah, and if you noticed on the site plan I submitted, I called that out.
Oh, the new one?
Yeah,
Okay. Oh, yeah, I saw the
Yeah.
bound at the road.
yep. And then the pins would be set, and then we'll provide a stamped certificate upon approval that those intermediate bounds have all been set.
There's nothing stopping you from using the granite bounds on the internal ones, but I know they're a little pricey.
They're a little more expensive, yeah.
Before we move on, is the June 12th meeting acceptable for you to be ready to come back with with these changes you're requesting and the, whatever we need to work towards?
Yes, it is, sir.
Okay, so we'll,
That's the next one, right?
we already
Yeah.
have two, but
Unless there's one sooner.
I mean,
I don't think there's one sooner.
No, that's the
Yeah,
next
so-
meeting. I was just looking at the different dates.
Scott, does that work for you with whatever the submission deadline is for when you need
Yes,
things?
yeah, this
and
one's,
This
very straightforward. It's not a big lift to review prior to.
all right.
with that, I'd make a motion to, continue we don't have to worry about the 65-day time clock.
Nope,
right?
at
So
this point, no,
I'll
but
just
they
make a
can always-
motion to continue to June
12th.
12th.
Second.
Motion to continue this to June 12th. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstention, motion passes. See you on June 12th.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Haven't seen you in a while, Mike.
I know. You're gonna be down in my neck of the woods pretty soon, I saw.
Yep.
So we'll take a second here to get everybody switched around and get our papers shuffled here on the next application.
you start?
I'm there.
Oh, you are now?
Yep.
Oh, nice, okay. I'll just stop in and say hi. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Okay, Patty, we have another new business tonight. Map 25, lot 41, please.
Yes, map 25 lot 41, located at 41 Dumont Park Road, owned by Ernest Tebow. This is a lot that was granted a variance to build a duplex on it at the end of Dumont Park Road, which the town does maintain the road. I'm not sure if it's owned by the town, but it is maintained by the town.
Yeah, we basically accepted it because we maintained it so
So
long.
that's
And then I
considered-
believe there was an official
Vote
vote
to accept it,
yeah.
okay.
But there's no laid out right of way or anything.
Okay.
So a variance was granted for a duplex, you said?
Yes, to be built on the property because of its location within the wetland area and the water. He has received his approvals for the shoreline as well. But the issue that's before you is because he has proposing two driveways that will not meet the 40-foot separation. They're proposed at a 34-foot separation, and that's on the site itself.
That's a waiver, or what is that?
It's a conditional use permit that he's
Conditional use
requesting. And that's, you can grant it, it's, if it meets the criteria in 7.4.2.
All right, and there's some waivers, Patty?
No waivers are
No waivers.
requested. I don't feel this is a regional impact, and it's ready to be accepted as complete.
I move that we find the application is complete and have no regional impact.
Second.
Is that you, Phil?
Yes.
Motion to find is complete, ready to review, no regional impact. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion passes. So is there anything else that you have for us, Patty, or any board members have questions for staff at this point?
There was no other comments that have been provided. DPW stated they had no issues with the request. The fire department had no comments regarding the request.
Does this go to Concom, Patty?
This one, because it was a conditional use permit just for the driveways, that's the issue. It went to the Conservation Commission because they had to make a recommendation to the Zoning Board of Adjustment for the impacts to the inner 50-foot buffer, and they did recommend it.
So the only issue that's being requested a decision on tonight is the conditional use permit for the driveway separation.
That's the only reason he's
entire
before
matter
you.
for the evening.
Yep, he was getting ready to pull his building permit, and the
Yeah, I think
driveway was
Eric
the issue.
flagged it, yeah, when the
Okay.
driveway turned.
Eric got his ruler out and measured them, did he? All right, for a conditional use permit, Patty, is there a criteria that has to be addressed in terms of verbiage? You know, like 5 questions and
Yeah.
5
Doesn't have
answers?
any
and-
everything.
Is it in the application?
It is in
It's
the
the fifth
application.
page.
There it is, I got it. We'll have to review them in public. Okay, is the applicant here tonight? Yes, I am. Come on in. For the record, sir.
Vincent Iacosi for Ernest Tebow.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good to see you, Colleen. I miss you in Londonderry.
This is,
I know, I should just say,
does your husband know all these guys are fawning over you?
just for clarification, that, the last couple of
Maybe Joe's gonna
applicants,
be next.
I have,
We're in a very
worked
small-
with on other projects in professionally in my position in
right.
Londonderry.
That's
so-
enough explanation. We
Yeah.
believe
I
we believe you, Colleen. We believe you.
We only have 1,400,000 people in the state, so everybody knows.
Everybody.
So,
All right.
First of all, just to give you a little background, we went through Shoreline Protection, Army Corps of Engineers. All those permits were granted over the past 2 years. We do have a building permit, we do have a driveway permit, but when we went out to lay out the driveway and the house, it all looked beautiful on paper, but the whole system doesn't work from a traffic pattern for people to get in and out of the driveways. So the problem being, when the roadway was constructed or defined in, I think, 1995, the property line that was owned by Mr. Tebow went directly to the property lines of all of the cottages that ran along the river. And we had a private road agreement, a driveway agreement and access agreement with all of the additional abutters, because Mr. Tebow owns 2 houses opposite this as well. Since that time, Mr. Tebow, DPW, and the town engineering staff, we've agreed on, roughly agreed on a defined line coming back from the existing property lines of record. So what we've done is we shifted the house back. We reduced the width of the house by 2 feet so that we are able to put the 2 driveways to come straight in. We also moved the garages from the center of the units to the outside of the units to give us the separation of 34 feet. So that makes for the proposed new street, whatever, however it's defined by the town and ourselves. That still is in the works.
Yeah, we're gonna better define it. Right
We-
now,
we have
our
to, because
years
we
of
only have one
grading
side of
it,
the road.
it's widened and so we're going to
And
to
I
better
think
define.
this house will establish it, because we'll be able to, it's right at the end of the pavement.
Yep.
And we'll be able to establish the inside curb line.
Mhm.
And then when we regrade the street, we can
Yeah.
finish it up. Because the ditch line will have to be reestablished and everything.
Is Dumont Park a gravel road or a paved road?
About 250 feet of it, I think, is paved. Maybe
How about the
300.
portion in front of the site?
This
all
portion's
gravel.
Gravel.
Gravel,
Yeah.
It's all gravel, and then all the way around the end and up by the little boat ramp. And
I have a question.
Please.
So are you changing how you're building the house? You're putting,
no, we just,
because
no, we shrunk the,
you're in the flood zone,
no,
so
that, all of
the
the
water has to
variances
go through.
that were granted are staying. We shrunk the house from 28 feet to 26 feet. So once I get the conditional use permit, then I have to get the revised driveway permit, and then I have to revise the building permit.
because it was before the garages were under because of water.
No, they're still
Okay.
under.
All right.
But instead of being close to the front doors, now they're on the outside to give us the 34 feet of space.
Okay.
So let me ask you a question. Are we working off of the septic plan only for our purposes for this
For
application?
tonight, yeah, just to show the driveway.
So these are not to scale, they don't actually show the driveways. Will you provide amended plans
Well, I have to for the driveway permit,
to DPW?
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think Eric's been working with you too.
And
That's
these
correct.
these houses have a garage space under the house?
Yes.
And how much driveway is between the house and the road? Length.
It'll be approximately 20 feet.
See, we had a problem with some condos where the pickup trucks, the new 4-door, 8-foot body pickups don't fit in some of these condo driveways, and we actually we made a mistake, we fixed it on another project. So I want to be assured that whatever you put in here will accommodate a 4-door pickup with an 8-foot body, because otherwise, people park and their bumpers are out in the road, or they're parking on the road, so I just
Well,
wanna
I
make
can
sure
assure
that,
you that Mr. Tebow lives across the street, so they'll be off the road.
I understand that, but
And
the
this
point is,
that's
Maybe
part of the
the-
reason
maybe
that
the
we're
original
changing the
nosy
gravel
neighbor.
edge
what's
to-
our new parking length standard, Scott, that we
The
implied?
parking space is
Length.
20 feet.
All right, so that's our that's our,
That's how big a striped parking spot is.
and,
in our-
and that, and
We
what
don't
did,
have any other parking space.
what did we do down at
regulations.
the condos, where they're being built down at 114, 114?
I think 20 was the minimum,
Right.
20 was the minimum length,
yeah.
so.
Usually 9 by 20, I believe.
Well, we just, and we made it, we used to be 18.5, and we
Yeah.
lengthened them
Oh.
to 20.
Yeah.
No, we will have 20, that's,
And that will be documented on a plan for you?
Yeah, and like he was saying, right now, our road has gotten very wide out there. It's, you
Well, I understand you guys will
you
work
know,
that.
they're flopping over the gravel, trying to regrade it after every winter, after big rainstorms. And, you know,
and now it's what?
grader operator gets a little overzealous and
Hey,
gets
Tony,
wide. And so we're gonna tuck it back in, so maybe he can even get more than 20.
Right.
We'll
well,
have-
that's just my concern, that the driveways are long enough to accommodate a
Well,
full-size
that's
pickup.
why we shifted, we narrowed the house up.
Okay.
To gain as much as we could.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else have any questions for the applicant? All right, let's go to the conditional use permit. Do you have anything else to add at this time, Mr. Arcudi?
No, I can go through the points if you'd like.
We will do them individually, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So I'm going to, you have your copy with you, because I have mine here.
Yep, go ahead.
So the first item for the conditional use permit under 154141, this use is specifically authorized in the ordinance as a conditional use.
Yes, it is.
Okay. I don't understand the answer, but okay.
Do you have what Jason submitted, this? I can give
Oh,
it to
I
you.
didn't bring that one with me.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
So your answer was yes, it is authorized?
the use is specifically authorized in the ordinance as a conditional use.
Thank you.
Landscaping and/or agricultural uses are compliant under this ordinance.
If completed as proposed by the applicant, the development in its proposed location will comply with all the requirements of the section and with the specific conditions or standards established in the ordinance for this particular use.
Yes, it will. It will conform to the town ordinance.
Number 3 is the use will be compatible with neighborhood and the adjoining or abutting uses in the area which to be located.
There will be no adverse effects to the neighbors or abutters.
The use will-
Neighborhood or abutters, I'm sorry.
Thank you. The use will not have a substantial adverse impact on vehicular or pedestrian safety.
There'll be minimal traffic impact due to the nature of the project.
The use will not have a substantial adverse impact on the appearance and visual quality of the surrounding neighborhood. In evaluating visual impact, the planning board may consider architectural designs and elements.
This proposed structure is going to actually be aesthetically more pleasing. It'll regrade an area that's just been overgrown for the past 30 years. It had never been cut. And we'll be putting up a very nice duplex there.
All right,
It'll blend in nicely with the neighborhood.
Patty, if this was other than a residential application, if this was something like a business, don't we normally ask for renderings for the buildings?
yeah, you would ask for that for the site plan, but not for, like,
Well, I'm just saying that if we're going to agree with visual appearance and visual quality, we don't know what they're building. And if we're going to grant a conditional use,
We already have a
but
building
it's
permit.
for a
Since
driveway.
We're only looking at the driveway separation,
but isn't it all part of the whole thing?
but we don't have.
I'm not
Yeah,
saying we should
yeah.
ask for
The
plans.
rest of it's not in our purview, so I
Right.
guess in that regard, I think maybe having a driveway that connects to the garage would be aesthetically pleasing, so I can make that as a statement.
improvement.
without, You know,
Okay.
yeah, it's an improvement over.
All right, the last one is use will be adequately serviced by the necessary public utilities and community facilities and services of sufficient capacity to ensure the proper operation of the proposed use.
Yes, that's the layout. and the doors become a single door on either end.
Okay, so he has a drawing.
thank
you. Oh, wonderful,
But they're
thank you.
changing the doors, is what he's saying, so if you
They're
wanna.
gonna,
Instead of a double door, there's single doors on each side.
okay, so it'll be a one-car garage.
That's correct.
So the last one was public utilities, and your answer would be yes, I assume?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, the pole's smack dab in front of the house.
And what'd you say the dimensions of the driveway are?
Well, how wide will the driveway be?
10 feet?
10 feet wide?
Yes.
Okay, so wider than the garage.
The
Yes.
garage is gonna be single bay, they're gonna
Your single
replace.
bay 9 by 7.
9 by 7, that's why.
That's
Right.
good, they're wider than the
Okay.
Right,
Right.
that's what they changed.
Okay.
All right, so the applicant has answered affirmatively to all the questions. Any questions from board members regarding the answers to the conditional use permit?
David, do you want to see
David,
that?
do you wanna see this? David,
David.
do you wanna see this?
All right, any discussion on this by board members? Pat, do you have anything to add, or are we ready to move on this?
I have nothing to add.
Asked? Okay. Answered.
So I would make a motion, and I think I need findings of fact, right? So with the findings of fact that the applicant and what he's stated for the record tonight and submitted has demonstrated that this meets the criteria for a conditional use permit in section 15.4.1.4 of the zoning ordinance, I would make a motion to approve the conditional use permit as requested.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to grant the conditional use permit based on the testimony of the applicant. What else did you cite as a finding of fact?
The finding of fact that the applicant has demonstrated compliance with the conditional use permit criteria.
Okay, any discussion of the motion to grant the conditional use permit? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to make one comment. Planning and zoning has all the detailed dimension drawings with the surveyor's stamps, the engineer's stamps, everything. They were already done for the ZBA application and for the wetlands applications, and all of those are already on file with the planning office. So all the documentation is already here. This is kind of correcting a mistake that we all made.
Okay,
So
sir, thank
all
you for
very
coming
much.
in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So you'll just need the notice of decision from Patty before you submit your driveway permit.
Okay, very good.
And I'm not in tomorrow.
Neither am I.
So, we will do it Tuesday.
One more application tonight, new application is map 3713-1, Patty.
Yes, this is a proposal to convert an existing residential duplex into a two-unit residential condominium form of ownership. There are no new structures proposed. The property is located at 772 North Mass Street, owned by Nicholas Key.
Patty, is this the new one that they just built up across
Yeah, they just,
by the gas station?
yes,
Awesome.
that's the new one that they just built.
Across from Marlene's house?
And the only thing they're doing is changing the form of ownership. And when you do that, you have to
And
have
it's only one page.
planning board approval.
So let that one burn. That's
It's,
the right one.
there is, staff does not believe there's a regional impact, and we believe this application is complete and ready to be accepted.
And have waivers, I see.
There are,
It says they're requested, but staff doesn't believe they're required.
yeah,
I don't think they're, I mean,
I don't
that's building process, isn't it, normally?
well.
Because they went through all this to build it 6 months ago, or 8 months ago, whatever.
Yeah, I don't feel like it's I mean, it might be, it's probably in there that normally when you do a site plan, you have to do all this, because it's also not just a form of subdivision where you record, it's also a site plan, because we have to show the architectural renderings, and those have to be recorded.
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll leave the waivers in there for the motion, and then if Joe can show us how we don't need them, then we don't have to act on it. So waivers for acceptance person only?
I'll make a motion to find that the application is complete, and is not, no regional impact with the waivers for acceptance purposes only.
Second.
Phil? Okay, any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstention, motion passes. Any questions for staff from board members?
I do want to note also that they have submitted their condominium documents, and they are being reviewed.
They submitted them to you?
Yes, they have been submitted, and they have been submitted for review by town council.
Thank you, Patty. All right, we're going to ask Joe to come forward. And give us your name for the record, sir.
So I'm Joe Wickert. I'm the surveyor that prepared the plan in front of you this evening. Patty covered a lot of it, so there's not a ton I can add. I am unfortunately the cause of the waiver dilemma, only because I think I had the same argument in New Boston Road where I read it, that erosion control and, I forget what the heck the other one was.
Stormwater management.
Stormwater management, I read it as they were under subdivision, and I wasn't sure, so we were overcautious and put them in there. The wetlands one, so this subdivision, so let me back up. So it's lot 13-1 on tax map 37. As Patty mentioned, it's the new duplex that was being built. It's almost ready to be finished. We created this lot back in 2020, I believe it was approved, and we recorded the plan in 21. Lot is serviced by municipal sewer and water, so DES approval is not required. When we did the subdivision plan, we did have the wetlands delineated, but generally 5 years is the limit for when the wetland scientist is comfortable stamping the plan again, and we're right on the end of the 5 years. So we're asking for a waiver to not have to redelineate the wetlands because they're at the very end of the property, well away from the improvements, and we're well, we certainly comply with the 100-foot wetlands buffer. So I thought that was the only one we actually needed. The other two, we just weren't sure, so we threw it in there, and we could go either way. The only thing we are proposing to do is to change the form of ownership. I did read the staff report, had an email conversation with Joanne, so we do have limited common area on the decks out back, but the front deck is common, which is typically most of the ones we do, they become limited common because it's like designated for either side. This one has it's an open deck that they don't have a divider on. The only thing that we didn't have shown is due to the weather, they haven't been able to pave the driveway. So they're probably, they're 2-car garages, so the parking for each unit would be in the garage, but we're probably gonna designate an area in front of each unit that's limited common, so like Unit 1 doesn't park in front of Unit 2 or vice versa, whatever. It doesn't really happen, but they put it on just for in case.
Joe, what did we require on the original plan? Did we require any other parking other than the garages?
I don't believe so.
So there's no real need to...
No, we were just, we're gonna add limited common because Joanne had mentioned that in her review.
Does that mean you're going to add parking spaces to the plan?
No, it's just an area that no one can, the other unit can't park.
I'm just saying if you're going to do that, you just have to work with Scott on an amended plan.
That's fine. We'll make sure before we submit it for signature, Scott, we'll send it to Scott so he can review. Otherwise, it's fairly straightforward and just changing the form of ownership.
Okay, and the condo docs are being reviewed, Patty told us?
Yeah.
Board members, questions?
So the bump outs aren't for parking, they're just for turning around?
Yes, so you're not backing up into North Mass. I'm never sure if it's supposed to be road or street. I call it road, but.
It's street.
I know, but I always say road. It's
I have
not
the
a-
sign in my shop that came off of the telephone pole from Tommy Hall's Radio and TV that says hand-painted North Mass Street. The hand-painted sign that was up there before they put steel signs up. And I got that from Tommy Hall before he got
Wow.
up there. Because he obviously had the store right there. And Al Gammons would be here to tell us all that it's North
Right,
Mass Street, right,
exactly.
Mark, Bill?
Right.
He never would let it be called North Mass Road. So your plan is perfectly correct.
I have a habit of saying road.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
That's down in Penardville.
All right,
Mine's here.
do we have any issues with this application?
It's
that
short.
we have to discuss?
No, and I think that in terms of the waivers for stormwater and erosion, I don't think that we've required that on a condo conversion. So I'm comfortable that the waivers from Appendix C and Appendix D, as staff noted, they don't believe they're required. I would agree with that. I don't think we need to consider waivers for those two items. As
So-
far as the wetland delineation, I don't know.
So Patty, is Joe working off the checklist that's been completed and signed that has
Yeah,
delineation as B on the drainage study and all that business?
yeah, because condo is considered both the subdivision and a site plan, so technically probably that's required, so maybe you want to just grant them because
All three of them?
you might want to. I mean, that's what you're getting, you're being cautious because that's
We
what's
wanna-
required for
I
both.
think Joanne told me we had this discussion on the last one, and the board opted for not on erosion control, and the second one,
The stormwater
the
management.
stormwater, the board said they weren't applicable, but I
Because
read
they're
it.
existing.
Yeah, I read it and I wasn't sure, so we put it in there. The wetlands is, we could have somebody go out and verify it. I'm sure it's gonna be very close to the same thing. It was just, normally we would've called the wetland scientist, asked them if we could reuse their stamp, but we're past the timeline, that's
So
all.
Scott, for erosion for the stormwater management plan, that's generally applicable when there is some sort of structures on site or
It's when there's gonna be a
bioretention.
change that we
That's
would
being
need to see those type
constructed,
of things.
yeah.
So
This is technically existing building.
Does
because
this
it's-
water shed to the street or onto the property around it? Where does the water go on this property?
I think this is set down a little, isn't it? This doesn't,
It's
I don't
set down.
believe this
It
drains
pitches-
toward
it's
the
sorta-
road.
It's flat, but it pitches towards the back.
I thought so,
But I mean,
yeah.
when it leaves the pavement, where does the water go when it leaves the pavement, Joe? Is it go onto the grass on the sides? Does it go out into the
I think
street?
it goes
I
back.
think the garage doors would be a little higher, so it's gonna sheet flow onto the.
Side yards?
Yes,
So,
east and west
so
side.
there's no need for a stormwater management plan at all?
No, and I mean,
And erosion control, we don't
is-
need them.
No, yeah.
I
You
think,
can
I
make a
think,
determination because it's existing, the structure is there,
I
that,
think just to err on the side of caution, we should talk about the wetlands delineation and either grant it or deny it based on the board's feelings. So, as a matter of formality, Joe, I am going to open the public hearing. Otherwise, Phil Devanza will reprimand me for not opening the public
I
hearing.
never reprimand you.
At 8:34. And I'm gonna send, anybody here to speak on this application tonight?
You know, I'm a resident. Just kidding.
You're biased. Okay, I'm gonna close the public hearing. So let's talk about the waiver request, section 6M.
Is there, so are there buffer placards out there? Are buffer placards required because they're not doing anything or altering?
Were they required on the
I
original
don't recall,
application?
I don't believe they were recalled when we did the subdivision in 21.
Okay. And I
he's
guess,
far away from it.
yeah, and there's no alteration. You said the wetlands were delineated, we're just a little bit outside of what
The normal 5
the
year.
normal 5-year. Because this application, I do think we should discuss, I think we need to either approve or deny the wetland delineation
That's right,
waiver.
yeah.
I would make a motion to approve the waiver of the wetland delineation because There was a delineation done on the property, recognizing it's a little bit older than what we normally would require, but because this application is not constructing or altering or changing the site in any way, it's purely a change in ownership.
Okay.
I would move that we grant the waiver request from section 6M.
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor of granting the waiver request for 6M wetlands delineation, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion passes. And for the record, the board has discussed the other two items, stormwater management plan, Appendix C, and erosion control standards, Appendix D, and it's the board's verbal decision that they are not applicable to this application. Okay. So Joe, I noticed planning department comments, the common area and limited common area are not shown on the plan. You're going to make those plan edits and submit them?
So we had them shown. So we have limited common, the back decks are limited common to each unit. The front porch is considered common because.
Oh, the LCA, okay, I got you.
And then we will be showing an area in the front. And when we do that, we'll make sure Scott reviews it.
Scott, we'll leave that up to you for a
Sounds good.
administrative decision.
Yep.
Condominium, and we'll also leave the condominium declaration set to be reviewed, and we'll leave that to a administrative decision at the planning department. Assessing wants you to label the units. Did you see that comment, Joe?
I did, we'll make that change.
We'll make that change as well?
Yes.
Okay. I don't think there's anything the findings of facts are for when we do a decision. Anybody got anything else on this? We all good with this? Anybody gonna give Colleen a break and make a motion, so she doesn't make all the
No,
motions?
and Barbara's not here.
I'm gonna rely on someone else at the table to give me a motion. Just turn to page 21, right under staff recommendation.
Before somebody makes a motion, can I just suggest, so that assessing comment, though,
Be number 6.
yeah, to add that as number 6, condition 6, that the units be labeled. You know, the applicant has indicated they'll take care of that, but.
And he only has to show the common area or show the limited common.
Well, yeah, those are, staff recommendations are what they are, but they'll have to be approved administratively, so they'll find their way into it.
Yeah, so typically, common area, we don't necessarily delineate because if it's not the unit or limited common, it's common.
Okay.
So
All right.
So I'll make a motion by findings of fact to approve the conversion of the ownership of the 2-unit residential duplex to a condominium form of ownership with no other changes are being proposed.
Thank you. Seconded by?
Second.
Seconded by Phil. Any discussion of the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention? Motion passes, Joe. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
finally figured, it dawned on me who you were.
They all know her.
Infamous.
It was one of those things where I was like,
3 for 3.
All right, before we go home,
I do have one thing.
Patty left the development regulations on the table.
Yeah, for
Somebody
you to
did?
take, for you to view. Joanne want me to pass those out.
Okay.
But I do have one other item to, just
What do
to
you have
inform you
tonight,
about. We did receive an appeal regarding the Acorn Drive subdivision to the New Hampshire Housing Board. That was submitted today.
Acorn Drive approval
Yeah. Someone's appealing the planning board's
is what,
decision.
being contested?
Yes, they're appealing the planning board's decision
For the approval.
of the approval.
Well, copy of that appeal? Can we,
You,
will that be in a packet or can we receive?
you wanna get a copy?
I'd just like to.
They're
read it.
appealing it to the Housing Appeals Board.
Yes. The New Hampshire Housing Appeals Board.
Yeah, I think it would
That's the
be,
process, that's the right.
yeah, it would be advisable that other people get to read it.
It
Will
was just
this-
submitted
will-
today.
Will we, as board members, receive a
scanned it
written
already.
copy of the appeal at some point? And how it was
From
filed?
the what, so they submitted it today.
But does the planning board
you-
get a copy of it?
You're requesting it, I'll, generally, sometimes it's considered, it's
anybody
public, as long
wanna
as it's public
see it?
knowledge, yeah. You can
I mean,
have
it's
it.
a
Anybody else
public
want to see a
document,
copy of the
so,
appeal?
yeah.
I'd like to, as a
Yeah,
chair.
I can give you a copy of it.
I have seen a copy of it.
Because I'd like to see what the reasons were that were laid out for our.
I think you should see it.
Yeah. Do you want me to, so just include it in the packet?
I think everybody on the board should have it for their, because we all made the
I do have it
decision.
scanned in too. if
All
you
the
want
board
it.
members made a decision yay or nay at the meeting, so I think all board members have the right to see
Yeah,
what the appeal is.
I'll include it in the packet.
And what is the time frame for an appeal? Does it have to be done before the 30 days was up? Is that what the, is that the?
Yeah, I believe
they
it's
had-
30 days.
Within 30 days of the decision, they had
decision.
to file the appeal. Yeah.
And then how long is Housing Appeals Board take? Anybody know?
That I don't know.
It depends
I
on
mean,
what the
it's
schedule is.
Yeah.
faster than the Superior Court would be, but,
Yeah.
but there's, it takes some time.
Also 10 times more expensive, if you read the,
Yeah.
yeah.
For us,
They said in the documents at the State House that there's actually a motion by some members of this, at the State House to eliminate the Housing Appeals Board.
Right.
Because they're spending $10,000 per appeal, whereas when it was handled judiciously by a court judge, it was costing $1,000 per appeal for the taxpayers to adjudicate it. And that was in the paper.
that's a big difference.
It is.
That was in the paper. Anything else, Patty?
Nope.
Motion to adjourn.
I don't know about that. It's not 10 o'clock yet, Phil.
I'm not sitting here till 10 o'clock. I'll second the motion.
All right, motion to adjourn by Phil Devanza. Who else is seconding it?
That was me.
Colleen did. Any discussion on the motion?
I don't know if it's time either, so, you know.
Yeah.
Well, let's discuss a little more. Let's discuss this some more.
Yeah, you wanna talk about it?
To be discussed.
No, you know.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion passes.
I was
Thank you,
waiting.
GTV, we are adjourned.